show you now cars inside the museum. Here you can find the plane engine that Alfa built for because in 1910 in Italy
1910.
in the middle there's and then posture.
Yeah. My people may forget to make on hear what the tour guide I say. I've been up on the phone with some people. So I just have to have video and show you a whole plane engine from 1910 upward. Now we are go upstairs. Mountain, big up yourself this year. But yeah, Italy, I look on some old plane engine, old boat, whole heap of things. But me just get a news when me never really want. Because the man them just tell me say the car what me just sell, we have some heating problem. So after the diagnose, that'll be a problem. Can't be so I can't turn the camera. I wish we could turn the camera star.
You can use it also nowadays for works actually. It's made by Vybz, so it was also because the engine is inside here. This is old wood. These lamps are oil lamps, so it was very dangerous. A fire could happen very easily, and that's why these are very, very, very rich people, just for very rich people or prince, for example. This car was inspired, of course, from an original coach, because the only example that they had was a coach with a princess. So that's why steering wheel is on the right, because the coach of a military was always on the right. Okay, why it was on the right? Because it was easier to guide. Because in that time it wasn't there wasn't traffic, so the car most of the time goes slow in the airports, but are not very good enough nowadays. So the coachman so he needed to sit here on the front. Just change and we'll have the steering wheel on the left. But slowly and this part is old, but it was very, very fast for that because you which speed could at which speed could run this car? What do you think? 45 kilometers per hour? More. More. 80? No, more. 100 actually. Yeah. Yeah, and that's very important. What's this? What do you think?
Fuel tank.
Exactly. Exactly. Because, of course, at that time, they weren't mechanics. So when you drove this car, you needed to know how to fix it. Because we know that it's all wood. So in that type of streets, very dangerous, it was very common to break the car. So you need tools to fix the car. So this is a toolbox. Alfa started very, very soon to race, okay? And that's why, basically, in the same year, we have also the first racing car. And we know that it's a racing car for two reasons. Because of the number in front and because of the color. At that time, when cars were racing, they recognize each other just from the color. So Italy chose red, color red, for itself. For example, Germany was black, and in France, for example, was blue. We have 4 seats, even if it's a racing car. So this time, he stays the co-pilot, and in the back, the mechanic. And we have
Two tire on the back. And this is a racing car, and this can go up to 95. Oh.
electronic lamps. So they start now. And this is a very, very important car. So you have to think that this car was projected for Indian Maharaja, so an Indian prince. And the technique used for these cars is called bouchonnet. It's a French word that explains that this car was all handmade. So you can imagine how long was the process to produce a car like this. And we also have this little horseman, which was the symbol of this Indian family. And the fun fact is that the curator of the museum knew that this car was somewhere, and so he started searching, and they found
Fancy.
In this car, we can notice a detail, a very little detail that stays here in the logo. Because the city is not Milan, but it's Paris. So why Paris? We said that the factory was in Milan, but in these years, was Mussolini, and there was like a special and very strict politics that forced all the people to buy a very high taxes, a very high fee to send the pieces outside. So in Italy, they produce the car, but they send it to Paris and they put all together in Paris. So they couldn't have paid all the taxes that there were in that period. So that's why we find Paris in the logo. And this one, red, okay. So this car is a racing car, and we noticed for the color, of course, but also because it has 3 lights. That's why this car was for the race called Mille, which is a race that goes from Richardson Road and back. So it's a very long race, so all the pilots have to drive also during the night. So they need more lights to guide. And as we can notice, the pilots at that time, they didn't have that much security stuff. So they just had like a little helmet, but not that secure. So the only thing that they could rely on was Saint. You want to see it closer? This is Saint Cristoforo, that it is the protector of the pilots. So they didn't have any security stuff, but they can rely just on Saint, basically. And this car is Mille is one of the most famous races. It's long, very long. The pilots were destroyed after this race. Most of them, unfortunately, died in the race because they were very dangerous, and the streets also were very dangerous. And another fun fact was that they turned on the car not with a key as today, but with this one. So they did like this, and then they turned on the car. Okay. So basically, we're now doing like a timeline, as you can see on the floor. So we are just going through the years and see how the cars are changing. And now we are in this in the 30s. These are the cars from the 50s. These are the cars that, like, for example,
This one making 1938.
in these years, the shape of the car changed a bit, and we call this shape anthropomorphic shape. As we can see, like a facial, like as these are the eyes, these are the nose, these are the mustache, and this is like a facial of the politic, all the very rich men, all the important. Going through the years, we now arrive at this card that we can also see in a famous film. This card
Fancy.
to produce like a dress for the car that is called Alfa Romeo Frecciadoro, which this one is the carrozzeria. It's the dress of the car, of the skeleton of the car, and for the first time, Alfa Romeo produced it. In other cases, Alfa Romeo continued to produce these dresses, but in other cases, they Alfa Romeo asked to the most important designers to design the car.
I bet you this thing can drive right now. Yeah. Take a look at the quality.
Look on the next one.
And this one made in 1950.
Because, as the steering wheel is changed. Okay. Um, Now it's on the left. Why? Because in these years, after the Second World War, Alfa Romeo needed to change something in its production. So it needed to be industrialized. So with the industrialization of Alfa Romeo, they start producing more and more cars. So the cars were more available, but with more available cars, we have more car on the streets. But with more car on the streets, we have much more traffic. So with the steering wheel on right, it was very difficult to guide in the streets with more traffic. So they tried to put the steering wheel on the left. And, and this experiment has a lot of success. So they started producing cars with the steering wheel on the left.
So on a pretty.
So all the other cars has steering wheel on the left, and also because they didn't have the windows here, so it was more difficult to drive in the street.
So on a pretty.
Stay in the middle of the 50 years, we have Giulietta. That is one of the most famous cars that Alfa Romeo produced. And it's one of the best sellers of the brand. Giulietta was supposed to be a car for women, because in that time, also women guiding start to have license, so they can also have a car. Alfa Romeo started to say, okay, I want also
1964. And the civil rights was in 1965. So then I'm right. Nice little woman car.
A real bad man.
Real bad man.
Real bad.
And this stylist, also produced a dress line to that way a woman that also the dress line, and she could drive like matching with the car and with his clothes. And that was like a marketing way to sell a lot of Giulietta, and it was actually successful. After Giulietta, another very successful car is Giulia. Actually, Giulia in the first period has the same success as Giulietta, because I don't know, it's more strong, the line are more strong, but actually Giulia, it's a very important car for Alfa Romeo, and in the end, it was very famous as Giulietta. Why? Because Giulia is the first safe car. All the families that bought this car felt very safe, because the shell of the car has this new technique that was the compressing, like progressive compression of the shell. This one, no, this was the first one that could be safer on the street. It also has the mirrors. That's another security stuff, and also exactly the seatbelts, but they were an optional. So if you at that time, if you paid for that, you can have it, but it was like an optional. Not you were not obliged to have it. And also, Giulia was very fast as well, because it has this typical thing of Alfa Romeo's car, that is like the wait, what does it mean? The cut back, And this is like a technique to go very faster, and it's very aerodynamics with aerodynamics principle, and that's why even if Julia wasn't that beautiful at the first impression, in the end, it has an incredible success as Giulietta. And
Sweat your fuck. Hold on, man. Let's see that one first before we go down. Look on that one. You see this? You want a picture? Okay. Hold on. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, but it's okay. Nico, go on. Big up yourself. Let me pass some car.
they had a very true impression of the car. So they asked Alfa Romeo to produce it. So Alfa Romeo has to change the engine, has to put a very, very strong engine because for this particular car, they needed a
look
very
at this.
strong engine. So they put a V8, that is that one. The only thing that they have to change is this part of the front part of the car, because with a smaller engine they could have a flat part, but with a bigger one, with a bigger engine, they need to put this air intake. But this air intake is fake. It's
But it's on like 219
um,
horsepower.
rebuild the car and put a bigger engine inside here. So it could be very faster. In the same year, we have different cars. For example, 1 year later, we have Alfa Sud, which is the first family car. It was very affordable for everybody, and it called Alfa Sud because it was produced in the south of Italy. And that's why in the logos before we saw that in the 60s disappeared the word Milano in the logo because of this car was produced in the south of Italy. In the north of Italy, in the same years, was produced Alfetta. Alfetta is a very important part for Alfa Romeo because as a very new system, which is called transaction system. Transaction system means that usually all the parts of the engine stay here in the car, but with transaction system we have that 50% of the engine's parts stays here, and 50% of the engine's parts stays in the bed. So the balance of this car was super, and it has a lot of success also for this new transaction system.
Real bad.
Real bad man. Oh, fucking hot.
Alfa 75, Alfa 75. We have the last one, Alfa Romeo cars. A lot of passion of Alfa Romeo say that, because Alfa 75 was the last one of Alfa Romeo because with the X. We're not coming back, right? Let's go downstairs. Okay.
I wonder if I can go on a full tour.
So we have the last one. A lot of people say that this one is the last one of Alfa Romeo because in the next years, Fiat Group will buy Alfa Romeo, and this car was again very famous because it has a system that calls twin spark. So this one was the first one with the twin spark system that you can see in the engine. And with this car, the 164, as I told you before, Group Fiat bought Alfa Romeo because Alfa Romeo was in crisis. So again, Fiat.
Alright, damn.
And it started the production with this car. So people that was very into Alfa Romeo actually at first didn't like this car because they said, okay, Fiat Group bought Alfa Romeo and now they produce this car that has anything from Alfa Romeo shape, anything from Alfa Romeo style. But actually this car was designed from Pininfarina, that is a very, very famous designer. But since the Alfa Romeo people weren't that happy that Fiat Group bought Alfa Romeo produced this one that, as you can see, has now again all the shape more not that regular and not that strong. That was the symbol of Alfa Romeo. So this car was very important for Alfa Romeo because it started a very good period for the brand. And this car was like a family car, but it was very fast as well because it worked a lot of places. And it has a twin spark as well.
V6 engine.
That I showed you before. And
230 horsepower.
Produced this new sorry, I have remembered how is it? Okay, it produced a turbo diesel. Okay, sorry. It produced a turbo diesel. It was completely new at that time. And Alfa Romeo produced it and
292. Come on.
the last one in the
This is a what? V what?
timeline is Optici competition.
8-cylinder.
It was supposed to be just like a concept car, but again, Alfa Romeo, it was too beautiful, so Alfa Romeo wanted to produce this car. They produced just 1,000 of this car, and if you think that just the color that it's called rosso competizione, so red competition, cost only the color of the car 10,000 euros. So you can think, the value of the car, and it produced 1,500 coupe, 500 spider, and nowadays it was a limited edition. So nowadays the cost of the car is way more compared with exactly. And okay, so we finished the timeline part. So this journey through the years, and now we will start the second part of the museum, which is called Beauty.
Beauty.
Beauty of America.
Or tired. Ooh. Jesus Christ, this museum big. So much care, man. Let's look at this. Like a spaceship. I don't know if I can see the wall of the car, them man come off.
Another exercise style are because here we have as a base black layer and on top of that the silver dust. The same silver dust we find in the seats, inside and also in the vest. In the front of the jacket and on the top of the seat. And that was the function that is aerodynamic.
Mm-hmm. Zoom!
These are exactly. The designer was Castagna.
Well, I'm sorry, I never had the GoPro. People, I try. Show no at least most of the car them. And come off my hand hat me, my foot hat me, my shoulder hat me, me tired. And this look like it go all the way to the ground.
But there was a problem, a very big problem, because they put the engine inside the car. So it was impossible to drive this car because of exactly the noise, the gas, and because it was all closed. So Punta Ricotti with Castagna, they chose to cut the upper part of the car, but in that way it wasn't. It followed. It didn't follow the aerodynamics principles anymore. So it was like just an experiment, but it is just to I don't know, curious and strange to see. But in the end, it didn't work that well. This model is they rebuilt the model because the original one was destroyed after the First World War. So they recalled Alfa Romeo when they wanted to rebuild this model called a Castagna, designer Castagna, and Castagna gave all the project for the car, so they could rebuild this car exactly in the same way as it was before. Okay, so now we will see all these cars that are concept cars. They are dream cars actually. The Carabo is the first one that I'll show you. It's completely new. Carabo is very important for Alfa Romeo because with Carabo, the designers, that is Bertone, actually it's Marcello Gandini for Bertone. The designer is Marcello Gandini. With Carabo, they changed completely the design of the car. Before Carabo, the design was totally different. So this was a very modern dream car. And Carabo, it's actually an insect from Amazonia. And Carabo reflects all the colors and all the details of these special insects. And as you can see in the picture, the car opens like the like this Amazonian insect. So everything was revealed. Also,
Tired.
the car wasn't supposed to be on the street. It was just an exercise for designers. And yeah, Carabo is one of the first one that changed completely the design of the time. Okay. With iguana, I don't know if this car, iguana, reminds you, I don't know, a famous car in a famous film. For example, Back to the Future. Yeah, exactly. This is like the DeLorean car, and that's not the case. It's because Giorgetto Giugiaro was the designer of this car, of this dream car, and Giorgetto Giugiaro is the same designer that in the future will produce the DeLorean car. So the designer is the same one, and the DeLorean car was inspired from this one. Giorgetto Giugiaro firstly designed this one, and then
We can slow make.
DeLorean car.
We
If you
can.
notice, they didn't think for this car like all the security stuff for drive in the streets, because if you see inside there's a gilet as the system. So because
Back and scratch me.
car, so the designers that also the car.
Andiamo a vedere qui.
Oh, and the last dream car is from designer that and the car that was inspired the ride in the next years. As you can see, the engine is inside, so it wasn't a problem with the security, and they didn't think about it because they just wanted to exercise their art.
You try to drive this one, you pass out before you even move off. You see the engine is inside.
Okay, and cupola, which means cloud.
Now look at some people. The engine inside of the car, literally inside of the car.
It is a concept car because inside
So, but this car never drive. This is just for show. Just the design.
Alfa Romeo in that years saying, okay, Alfa Romeo and all the designers of Centro Stile Alfa Romeo, which is the design school of Alfa Romeo, and they said, okay, come back to into the museums and just look at the ancient cars and
È successo questo.
and get inspired from that car because they wanted to as
But I crutch me off. Fuck.
before, they want to return to to a new shape but inspired from the ancient car. The ancient cars that the designers from Centro Stile Alfa Romeo saw are these cars that now we're seeing in the second part of beauty.
Jesus Christ. Excuse me. Hello. How many floors go down?
Just 2 more.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Way back more.
Yeah. Two more floors.
Okay. So
I can tell there's some more rich top shot man used to drive them, right?
they sold these cars, and these cars are, I mean, one of the most beautiful of that Alfa produced. Also because they were all handmade. So the work that they before the production of this car, it's incredible, and they are piece of art in some way. And but the most important one is the like most of them also won like a beauty race that is called Alfa. Okay, this car is one of the most expensive of the year.
My hand tired. I try to hold the camera good.
3 million, no more. No, 50 million, 15, no more. It starts from 13. Yeah, but okay, now this part it's like a little cinema. You can see in the inside of the where most famous inside of the and there's also a bathroom over there. See?
Everybody has sit down. Oh God, them foot tired. Ah, shit. Let me just mute the mic because I never want the music play. 1962. 1957. 1957. 1957. 1963. 1963 again. 1963 again. 1965.
Wait a second here.
1972.
Okay, so we're now in this part. They are all Julia and Julieta, and we are in the 50s. And Alfa Romeo decided to retire from Alfa Romeo, so retire from the races, and
Keeper.
not
foot tired, my hand tired, my everything tired. I'm weak. I don't know me alone, everybody has to sit down.
Har du stått opp grytidlig? Ja, på tennene.
Hvis du har snart arbeid, så lager
Det var stengt.
Ni är också trötta, jag förstår vad ni
Jeg står opp tennene.
mycket kaffe, det var mycket.
Ja.
Yeah, what you want
Allah.
and this is a lucky charm that you can
Huh?
find in all the
Ja, vi
racing
gjør
cars
den her kaffen jo. Vi gjør
because
her.
it became a lucky charm when a very famous pilot,
Det er ikke sant,
which
så står det på den
the
andre
name is Hugo Svacci,
Ikke?
uh,
Ja, det mener jeg.
but when he drove for the quadrifoglio, he won for the first time, so it became a lucky charm from Romeo. And actually, after 2 months, Hugo Svacci, that pilot that drove quadrifoglio car, in an accident, he died in an accident, and on that car he didn't go quadrifoglio. So from that time, Romeo said, "Okay, we are going to go."
Ja, jeg òg.
Skal du si feil?
Og de sier det er veldig trøtt. Så jeg sier jeg òg.
Ja, alle begynner veldig trett.
Og vondt i foten.
Det også.
Jeg må stå opp så lenge.
Benk der dagen.
Men vi har 2 etasjer. I får mute the mic again. I don't want to get copyright strike. I'm more sure what they want. Alright, people. My battery will go down. I feel let them go now. Talk to you later. I'm tired.